is our DGRE Young Guns group, and we just recorded our first 2 interviews, which Garrett did a magnificent job. You can tell he's absolutely terrified, which was kind of amusing.
Yeah.
But this is our debrief. Now we're just going to sit down and actually chat. I want to say a few things that really hit me, because I'm coming at it from a little bit different perspective.
Yep.
You guys are young. I can see. It's harder for you to see the future. I can look back and see what my future was, just like a lot of other people. And we'll have a lot of other people that come on that will tell their stories so that you can learn from those, so everybody can learn from those stories. And people can learn from you guys. So I was very impressed about everything. We'll jump over to Noah first, real quick. I hope you guys absolutely loved his interview, because super impressive guy. I love the hustle. You know, you talk to certain people. I think it was, I think it was Warren Buffett. Before meetings, he would go out and get newspapers and sell them car to car at an early. I mean, he wasn't even that young, and he was still doing it. But it was always the hustle, getting on to the next hustle, next hustle. And I give a lot of credit to your parents for making you earn everything you got.
Yeah, they did a great job at that.
So, I mean, like, okay, so, I mean, and you're, as an example, you're in 4-H. You have to have an animal, right?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't buy you one.
No. It was very much so. You're going to work for what you want in life. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened, because at the age I hated it, and now I'm more grateful for that than anything else in my life.
Yeah, parents have such big influence. There's some people that have good influence. There's some that have bad influence, and shoot, there's great parents, there's bad parents, there's absent parents, there's everything else, and you learn so much for it. But for example, you had a good upbringing as far as that. Somebody else might have had another challenge.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. They can do it too, because they've got to understand it's all in their head. You were helped in that matter to get it into your head.
Yeah.
Other people need to come over those. Is that? Do you feel like even without your parents' help, you would have had that work ethic, or is that a drive that's internal?
I think one way or another, without my parents, even myself, being in Winter Sports Club growing up with Tyler, same thing of just, you get knocked down a lot. And it's all about how to get back up, get back on the horse, keep going. And so whether it was school or sports, it was constant just getting knocked back down, getting back up. And I mean, to me, it wasn't a skill or anything I thought I had. To me, it was just always back against the wall, and you only have one way to go, and that's you land this trick in skiing, or you make this $10 off selling a duct tape wallet to your friend or something. I mean, there was just always something that I could do, I could look at and figure it out.
We had a guy in high school, Louis Gordiani. I actually looked him up on Facebook the other day, and he was the guy that he carried around a backpack at school full of candy bars.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it sounds like my story a little bit.
Yeah, sounds like
I used to tell my mom, I was like, I need 4 peanut butter and jellies, and she was like, how are you eating 4? I'm like, don't worry about it. And I'm selling the other 3 and then having cash on the side. So I get that from that perspective.
I mean, so there's hustle you can get in at a young age, no matter what it is, whether it's candy bars or duct tape wallets or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You can do anything like that just to get that instilled. As far as you get that first check in and you're like, wait a minute, I want to do this again. And it's not about the money. That's one thing I want to make sure everybody knows. It's not about the money. The money is the result of the system that you build. So you build a system that goes through and keeps on self-perpetuating, and you become very good at it, which is why I told you, hey, you don't get sidetracked with all your side hustles. Focus on one thing and be really good at that. Just like with Tyler. He's building up a landscaping company with the goal of selling it, right?
Correct.
Do you have a goal of how much you want to sell it for?
I would like where it's at right now. I think I could do it for 60,000. So I think in the future, roughly $200,000, and then I would use that money to get into real estate. So
Yeah, well, and real estate's real good at preserving your wealth and growing your wealth.
right.
And so if you were to sell your business for 200,000, you have that. You need to still have some way of having income. I would almost tell you to go bigger
right.
on your landscaping company. And especially in places like Steamboat, we are so restricted on labor
Yep.
that it's not about getting the contracts, it's about fulfilling them.
Yes.
So
Agree.
if you can somehow harness the labor market of that business, you can get a ton of landscaping business. And rather than $200,000, maybe you say, hey, I want to build this up to $500,000 or $1 million.
Right.
Have you backed into what your sales need to be able to sell it for those levels?
I haven't done too much of the number calculations, but I know I have like the big dream, and then I have my this year and the next year are definitely like huge building blocks for me because, well, I still live at my house, and I would love to get out of my house, and I would also like to have property to have a skid steer and 3 mowers and all of that, and all of those fixed, like equipment, and then on top of that, I would like to have at least one housing situation for my employees so that I know for myself I will also be getting that rent every month, and I know like what I will be making in the future based off of that calculation, but I really haven't done much towards the financial type of side of things. So yeah.
And I'm going to digress a moment real quick.
What came to my mind was mergers and acquisitions. What you learned
Yep.
from Adam Coffey is just you scale up as much, sell it a little bit to private equity, build it some more, and you keep going until you reach the amount you want.
We had a great business coach, a guy named Adam Coffey, who's actually on my board of directors for my company now.
Okay.
And he has had numerous billion-dollar exits where he sold businesses for over $1 billion numerous times. Very, very high demand. And what's funny is he didn't know about the businesses that he went into when he went in and turned them around, but he knew business.
Right.
And all of his businesses were men in trucks fixing stuff. So landscaping was one of them. He had a big landscaping company. And he actually went through an example of, which I should pull that out and give that to you, because he said, you're starting off, you've got one crew, you've got a weed eater, a lawnmower, and a blower, and that's it. Well, how many properties can they do in a week? So you get that many contracts. Well, now you start getting more than that. Now you got to hire another crew and build that one up. So you can keep on scaling and building that up, working on your business, not in it. So you're not the guy out mowing the lawns.
Right.
So you got to get to that point, which is easily attainable. I know one guy
Yeah, definitely is.
sold his business for, I forget how much he sold for, but a landscaping business. He started as a kid.
Right.
And commercial properties, you can get commercial properties, you can go after those.
That's commercial properties is something I'll be offering this year, since I'll have a full-time employee and one part-time. The part-time employee is more for the landscaping side of things as well as the commercial stuff, because obviously it's more, property to mow. So, and then also with I do have a business mentor who's specifically landscape. He sold his landscape business for 1.4, I think, in Indianapolis, and he just mows a ranch out by Clark, which is up north of Steamboat for the people that don't know. And we talk at least twice a week, and he's really been helping me figure out my numbers and that all I remember was Jordan Coffee. That would be great. Adam.
Yeah.
Adam Coffey.
That would be great if I could have that, because really what I'm looking for right now is just more advice about how to be the better businessman that I want to be.
How to scale.
How to scale.
Yeah.
My dad always gave me 3 rules. own your own business, be the best at what you do, and never stop learning.
Right.
So it sounds like you've already got those attributes going ahead for you.
Yes.
What you're doing.
Those I definitely strive on as well. Like journaling every day makes a huge difference in my mindset, because then I can focus on those things daily.
Every big successful person I've ever met, they do a lot of journaling.
Yeah.
They write that down so they can learn from it and move ahead.
Yep.
And
It really gets you to focus. It's a very good thing to do.
It doesn't have to be pretty either. You
No.
can make it as disgusting as you want. And mine is disgusting. It makes no sense most of the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Save those over time. You'll be doing that. Now,
Yeah.
are you doing journaling or anything like that?
He
So-
actually taught me how to do it.
Yeah, so I do something maybe a little bit more extensive, but it's along the same lines of, so wake up, work out every single morning, then I get ready for my day. And by get ready for my day, I mean, so I have 3 gratitudes that I write down every morning. Wake up, why am I grateful to be alive? Why am I grateful to be here? Then I get into 3, and this is what my business coach has helped me with, but then I write down 3 things of, what do I want to happen today? And it can be crazy outlandish of, I want to sell a $14 million house, but I write down 3 things every single day that I want to do. Then I get into my affirmations of, I have weekly affirmations, well, monthly affirmations, but then write down one thing 25 times every single day. And I have notepad on workbook that has showed everything I've done over the past several months. And it could be something as easy as, I love writing a contract every single week, and I write it down 25 times. Or it could be, I love receiving X amount in a year. And you always need to put it in the tense of, you're already doing it, because your brain, your RAS, your reticular activating system, has no, it can't tell what you've done versus what you haven't already by how you say it. So if I'm saying I enjoy receiving 400 grand this year, my brain's not saying, hey, you've never done this, you don't know how to do this. It says, cool, we're making 400 grand this year.
Yeah.
And then your brain is acting on that.
Something else on that same note is your brain cannot process the negatives.
Exactly.
And so a really easy example I remember very easily is, I forget what, this was one of the stories, is bottom of the 9th, and the team's up by 1, it's full count, and their best batter comes up to bat, and the coach goes out to the pitcher and says, you know what, whatever you do, don't throw a fastball.
Yeah.
Okay, so all the guy's thinking is, don't throw a fastball, don't throw a fastball. So he throws a fastball because they can't hear that. Or football players,
Exactly.
they don't say don't drop the ball, they say hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking those negatives. So the negative thoughts in your head beat yourself up, and then they also can't be absorbed by your subconscious.
Exactly. And it also goes into the whole thing of living life in abundance as well, never having a mindset of scarcity, which a lot of realtors do. But if you can do these things every single day and continuously do them, you're constantly putting your mind in a state of abundance. So stuff's going to come to you. And kind of what we've been talking about here about just saying it, putting it out into the world.
Out in the world, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, who knows? You can say whatever. And Tyler's seen this a little bit with me if I've said some crazy things over the years. And then it happens. And then a lot of people go, what? Well, you were crazy then, but now you did it.
Yeah.
So, you're still saying crazy stuff. What are you doing, dude? So
Yeah, like being 24
What
years
happens?
old and a part owner in a real estate brokerage firm.
yeah.
I mean, at 24, what are you doing at 24? Were you out selling chickens at 12? You can sell anything. I never thought I'd meet somebody who sold chickens at 12 years old.
Yeah.
But
Sell me
hey,
this chicken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wolf of Wall Street
I mean,
style.
yeah, the Wolf of Wall
Sell
Street.
me this chicken.
Sell me this chicken. Sell me this pin. You remember
Yeah.
that? Sell me that pin.
Literally, yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, sales is key. You've got to be able to do it.
It is, yeah.
You also have to be open to opportunities.
You have to be, without a doubt. And I think we touched on that a little bit of, it's very easy to get caught up and look at what other people are doing, look at their lawns, not focusing on you watering your own. And a lot of people can say, oh, well, they had opportunities that I never did. Mm-hmm. And you don't ever want to really play that blame game, but the people that I've met in life who have created insane opportunities for themselves, you never know it's going to happen, but you need to be working on it to have those opportunities present themselves.
Yeah.
Even how I met you, who would have ever thought that I would have gotten into real estate 2 years later, would have met Darwin, would have met Garrett, and it was all because I was just doing stuff.
Well, I want to tell you, I want to go through the story about meeting you from my point of view.
Okay, yeah.
But also, exactly what you just said
yeah.
is, because people say you're lucky. Well,
yeah.
luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got to be prepared for that opportunity when it shows up and then recognize it. For example, it was funny. We did, my wife and I, we walked down to Starbucks, ordered a drink, and I'm up waiting for him. And Kelly's sitting at a table, and she hears them talking about real estate, and Noah's teaching Tyler about real estate and all this, and Kelly's like, "Oh, you should go talk to him." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll do that." So I go up to him. I said, "Oh, I hear you talking about real estate. Can I listen in?" And he doesn't have a clue who I am, just some old guy compared to him, walking up saying, "Hey, can I listen to what you're saying?" He's like, "Oh, okay." And he starts talking about real estate, and I'm just listening to what he has to say. I just want to hear his knowledge level, etc. And after a few minutes, Kelly's like, "Tell him what you do. Tell him what you do. Tell him what you do." I'm like, I wanted here to listen, know. So then told him what we do, and he hit it off. And I loved how young and aggressive they are, and he's sharing his knowledge, to try and help somebody else. And that's what this whole DGRE Young Guns thing that we're talking about is, to help each other.
Yeah. And
so we'll have Zoom calls periodically, every other week or every month, something along those lines. We'll record those. Garrett will go out and do more interviews with more people. We had, in our last monthly meeting, we had 4 young guys that came in that are new to the business also, and it is hard to get in.
It's hard to break in,
but it's not impossible.
No, nothing's impossible.
Yeah. Nothing's impossible. You just gotta.
I just wanted to throw something in. I mean, I can take it out, but my uncle told me that comparison is the killer of all happiness.
100%.
So don't ever compare yourself to anyone else. Just focus on what you're doing, and being surrounded by guys like Darwin, and eventually you'll go to Texas and meet a lot of the investors.
Yeah.
You'll understand the road that you're on is leading somewhere, because at some point everyone, even including him, he started where you're at. There's no such thing as someone had a heads up on you, because his story, have you heard his story?
Darwin's?
Yeah, how he was hammering roofs and doing all that at 9 years old.
I've definitely heard a good amount, and how he got into the business. I'm sure maybe it was the Cliff Notes of what really happened.
We probably got to send him that video that we did.
I've got to finish my book, so I've got to do. But I will say that I was in a huge position where I did have, I'm going to say, advantages that other people didn't have.
And we could sit here and say the same.
I mean, and everybody does, but
we also use the advantages to our advantage.
Because there are some people that I know. One couple, they've got very well to do, and they've got 2 kids, and one has got tons of drugs and alcohol problem, and the other one's extremely successful.
Yeah.
And so it's not where you come from.
Yeah.
It's where you decide to go. And there's those stories all the time. And I don't remember the percentage. It's 72% of all multimillionaires started with 0.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what I want to do, is go back. I was very privileged because of my dad and where he was. But my dad and grandfather and great-grandfather, they were all auto mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You didn't tell me this.
So what kind of advantage? great. I could have, I could have followed in their footsteps and become a mechanic. Thank God I didn't, because I was a horrible mechanic.
And then there's also, I mean, growing up in such a affluent place like Steamboat, having the most amount of Olympians come out of this town than like entire nations and countries in the world. There's a lot of money in Steamboat, and we grew up with kids whose parents were worth tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then those same kids are now asking us, how the hell did you do it? How are you doing this? So I mean,
so you came from the wrong side of the tracks?
They had way more. They had way more. I mean, essentially, when I was 18, I wasn't going to college. I looked at those guys of having 1,000 times more opportunity than I ever had, and then now 5 years down the road, looking at them being like, so you've done nothing?
Most of them haven't even graduated.
Yeah, like so you had all this. You were so smart, so successful on this crazy path,
and then all the advantages, and they're pissed away.
Yeah, now you've done nothing, and I mean, even some acquaintances that we grew up with, same thing. Parents have an insane amount of money. Now they're in rehab, doing all that stuff, and so I mean, I think use what you have to your advantage.
Yes.
And I think in every which way, shape, or form, there's some advantage out there.
And always seek out knowledge and mentorship.
I mean, you
that's
have
one of
to.
the big things with you and Tyler. It's always about mentorship. Like, you've gone out and searched for those people to help mentor you to some degree.
Well, and also, like, I can't go ask my parents how to have $30 million worth of real estate by the time I'm 30 and why, because they've never done it. They don't know what to tell me. I need to ask someone like Darwin, hey, how do I go do this? Yeah, I can get to 5 by myself, but when I truly want to start scaling, there's very few people in Steamboat I can go ask.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you gotta, yes, partnerships are not always the best, but at some point, you can only do so much yourself, and you have to ask for help. You have to get that extra knowledge, and also, that's why you should probably pay for someone to teach you a thing or two at least once every year.
Well, there's also, I found that you pay to play also.
Oh, yeah.
And they say that in the government, but that's illegal. You pay to play type of thing, which is absolutely true. But what I'm saying is it opens a lot of doors.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of very famous people. I've made connections with some of those, and a lot of those were paid opportunities first, just to get in the door.
Exactly.
And so once you're in the door, then you got to make the best of it. But getting there, sometimes you have to pay. So even if it's a mentor, because a mentor can not only teach you, help you grow and develop, but then they can also say, okay, now you need to do this. You need to go meet this person. You need to talk to this person. Or, they can open doors for you. So it's those connections that are so important. You know what? You have to be relationship oriented, not transaction oriented.
Yeah.
If you're about the transaction, there's nothing to it. Great. I got all their money from. Well, you're never going to do business with them again.
Exactly.
You've got to provide value for what you're giving.
Yeah, and also, you need to look at it as it's not a sale. This is a relationship being formed that now we're going to get to do business for the next 30 years, for your kids, for your grandkids, that stuff. And I like to, kind of along the lines of what you're saying, I like to equate it to what owning a Ferrari means. A Ferrari means nothing, but that $400,000 car to get you into now the group of other Ferrari owners that can then help you go make that $400,000 over and over and over and over again, to where that $400,000 car might have just made you $40 million based off the new circle you're around.
Yeah.
So when are you buying your Ferrari?
Hopefully in 5 years. We're gonna start with a Lambo. Start with a Lambo.
That is a good point. Now, again, I want to make sure he's not advocating everybody go out and buy a Ferrari.
No,
it's a good example.
No.
It's a good example of what you can do to get into that area. They say, there's another thing they say is, take your 5 closest friends and average out their net worth, and that's what yours is going to be. So if you're hanging around with a lot of poor people, you're going to be poor. Yep. That's why you got to increase your circle of influence and who you know and who you're hanging out with is so that you can learn from that. A great example is snow skiing or snowboarding.
Most definitely.
If you're skiing with people that are better than you, you're going to get better.
Yep.
See with
We know
people
this,
worse than you,
exactly,
you're going to get worse.
Yeah.
It just happens that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have any challenge to make yourself better as a skier person, whatever XYZ may be. So, I mean, that's kind of what we were brought up on with skiing and everything like that, because we were surrounded by those Olympians, so it'd be like, oh, well, you can't do a double backflip? That's too bad. You're not going to go to the Olympics, and you're not going to be on TV. You're not, well, money's not a thing in skiing, but, you know, you're not going to have that name for yourself.
Yeah.
Can you do a double backflip?
I can, but he can.
Can you really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll show you the video.
Check him out.
So you know the video, yeah, because you guys did something, a dream item also that a lot of people
Yeah.
would want to do. What was that you guys just did?
Yeah, this February we did a 3-week, well, 2.5 week van trip from Steamboat to Utah, Montana, down in Jackson Hole, and we got to be 2 ski bums in a sweaty, nasty, stinky van, and got to go ski 6 to 8 hours a day every single day for about 12 days.
12 days, yeah.
Yeah.
No sleep.
Yeah, it was.
Rotisserie chickens, potato chips.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And got to meet some cool people, like everybody that we met on the chair, whether that was on Snowbird or Jackson, they were all like the nicest people to meet, and it was just really cool to have that experience. So.
Did you learn anything from anybody?
Well, I would say Ian, like
Yeah.
he was really passionate about just like he moved to Jackson and he's also from Steamboat, and you know there's kind of a different mindset in Jackson versus Steamboat that I would say Noah can relate to, and that Jackson, you know, well actually he kind of opened me up to it's not really about the like partying and everything. That's how you meet your friends, because in college, that's how I met a lot of my friends as well, and then he kind of opened me up to the fact that, you know, if you don't really like party and everything, you're never going to meet that upper class of group. So that's what Ian helped me do. Yeah.
Okay, so you say party your way to success. Is that what you're
No.
saying?
But in college, that's kind of what my view was at the time, because I was part of a fraternity, and that's what I was told before. Like that's how you meet all of your people that'll build your life, and then like I don't know, I just didn't really. My senior year, I was so done with that whole fraternity thing and everything, and I didn't really have a whole lot of friends in my senior year because I didn't hang out with them. So, and then I got to expand my circle after that. So
It's kind of like what you were asking about implying on the ski chair lifts, talking with people, getting to know what they do. I do that all the time with Uber drivers. I'm like, hey, is this a part-time thing? What else do you do? And some are like, what is it, truck brokers, where they send shipments, they pick up shipments, send them, or they're in IT or going to school like that. It's just, you never know who you're going to run into.
I like doing that on airplane flights. When I'm flying alone, I like talking. Well, sometimes I like talking to people, sometimes I don't. But I had a really great flight with a guy I met out of Steamboat. A very wealthy guy, owns numerous businesses, and he was on his way back from a mentorship program that he's been doing for 25 years, and he's got me involved in that now too, and I'm starting that up at the end of this year.
Sweet.
But you know, so every level, there's training on every, just like snow skiing. I've taken advanced lessons. You got to keep on learning. It doesn't matter how good you are, keep learning.
Exactly.
It's one of my dad's rules: never stop learning, right? So you need to have those mentors. You need to have those relationships. You know, then it gets down to, then you got to know the character of the person. Then you need to know whether or not it's somebody that is good to have in your life or not. Because there's some people that are toxic you don't want to have in your life.
most definitely.
And so you got to definitely know how to weed those out, how to nurture the relationships that are going to be positive impact on your life. And a big thing that I've learned is you don't chase money. You do the systems. You have your system for doing your lawn care. You put in all your systems. The money is a result of that. You put in your systems for marketing and for what you're doing on houses, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then the result is that, because especially on like real estate agents, they try and chase every deal. They'll have somebody, oh, I got a client that wants to buy this.
Oh,
Then they'll go
yeah.
waste time doing that, but they don't really have a client. They have somebody who said they were interested.
Exactly.
They might-
Steamboat's horrible for that. I should probably cut that there. I don't want to say anything else, but let's just say I'm gonna do it different than everyone else has ever done it. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's it. You're not gonna let us in on the trade secrets.
I mean, I don't know about trade secrets, but I don't want to. I don't want to throw too much shade at other people because I love other people and I believe at the end of the day, people are good. But yeah, there's some really money hungry people in my industry, and I've seen it, and it's a little nasty to see sometimes.
You need to come out to Texas.
Yeah.
And you need to meet Kristen. Actually, she's going to be up here in June.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
And Kristen is one of my favorite people in the world. And she had like 35 years at Verizon, a very high level person. Then she went into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got her own team, a very large team.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to hire anybody with real estate experience
Yeah.
because I want to train them in what I'm doing. So you can go ahead and put your mark on what you're doing without throwing shade on other people. You're saying, hey,
Yeah.
I'm doing it different. I'm doing
Yeah.
this. And because I can imagine, I mean, Steamboat, we looked for a house here for 2 years. And it's very hard to make a decision.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that would like to buy up here, but it's just, it is expensive. It is difficult barrier to entry. And then, but on my street here, there's like 35 houses. Half of them are owned by Texans.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy how many people from Texas move here. I always wanted to do marketing there. Here was my idea.
I should put an ad in Texas for my own stuff.
Well, you know what I did is when I was trying to analyze where it was, is I did a analysis on every ski town
Mm-hmm.
and how much they sell for as far as price per square foot.
Yep.
Steamboat had the lowest price per square foot when we bought. I mean, Telluride was $1,200. Aspen was $1,500. $2,400 now.
Yeah.
Aspen, Vail, those are all very expensive. But Steamboat, when I was looking, was like $350 a square foot.
And
I mean, now it's what, 7?
Now we're over 8.
Okay, now we're over 800.
Yeah.
But it's still the least expensive ski area.
Exactly.
Mountain town.
We are where Aspen was probably 10 years ago.
And
it's coming.
it's coming. And yeah, they just did.
It's already here, I should say, actually.
Well, they're adding 640 more acres
Yeah.
onto the resort, and that opens up next year.
Yep.
And not only didn't the resort just sell to? Did it sell to Vail?
Aspen.
Yeah, it was Aspen.
Sold to Aspen. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, so now they're not a locally owned or individually owned. They're part of a
Yeah.
very large.
They're part of Altera.
Yeah.
Altera is the massive parent corporation, but I mean, exactly what you're saying. The mountain, in the past 2 years, they've invested $400 million into the ski mountain and still investing. They know what's coming. They see the numbers. They have every single little piece of data, everything. They know what's coming. And if everyone's saying we're in a recession, I don't like that word, but if you're investing $400 million in the supposed recession, they know something that a lot of other people don't, is what that tells me.
Yeah, and so my pitch right now, if I were you, I'd be saying Steamboat is the least expensive ski town to buy in. You can still get in here to ski. So call me and I'll hook you up with someplace to buy here, because this one is on the rise. It's going to be Aspen, Vail, in a few years with everything that's going on. So if you want to invest and you want to buy a house in a ski town, this would be the town to do it, because it's the least expensive right now with the most amount of upside. And for me, it's a real town. Okay. It has Walmart, Starbucks, McDonald's. It has regular services rather than Telluride. Well, Aspen and Vail do, but those are just so out of reach.
Exactly. And those are billionaires' playgrounds. I think Steamboat's very much so millionaires' playground. But Steamboat's amazing. It's a way better community. people want to come here to raise their kids, for their kids to have an insane life. And I think these other places, they do have that opportunity, but it's so much different. And when you have a population where over 50% doesn't even live in the town year round, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
And also ditto to what Darwin just said. That's my new pitch.
That's what you advertise. I mean, you do Facebook advertising with, give the price per square foot of all those things.
Yeah.
Say, look, if you want to invest, call me. I'll get you hooked up in a house or a condo that's actually, you can afford and do that.
I think you just advertise down in Texas and just say it's the Fort Worth of Colorado, and
Hey,
they're swarming in.
Actually, yeah, that's one of the reasons we like to do was the Fort Worth, because it's a lot of ranching around, all the way around. So I just like ranchers and farmers and military people. I've got a heart for them. They're hardworking, great work ethic, just like you were talking about. So it's a great town to be in. Get out of the Texas heat.
Yeah.
Enjoy snow skiing in the winter. I mean, right out our window here, we've
have
had
trails,
moose right out here in our backyard, bears, everything else. So it's kind of fun as far as seeing all the different creatures and animals that are out. A whole herd of elk that went by our other house, or moose. It's a lot of fun being up here. But like I said, this was our debrief for our first 2 interviews, of which Garrett's going to be doing much more of those. If you want to be on our little podcast here, then great. Then let Garrett know, and he'll set up an interview so that we can go ahead and do that. And again, it's about promoting you, your business, what you do, and put out there what other people can do to help you, or what you can do to help other people. And it's all the same age, and to show that you guys can do something. You're not just because you're young doesn't mean you can't accomplish something. And we'll have advice for what you can do at different ages, different income levels, different opportunities, no matter where you are. And then we'll have a Zoom call with everybody on there so that we can participate in all those. Maybe some, house flips or other opportunities that somebody can invest in.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the whole goal. So
Exactly.
we need to set up, we'll set up DGRE Young Guns. .com. We'll put all these on there, so we'll have thumbnails of all these. You can watch all of them, and then sign up for the Zoom call, which we don't have set up yet, but that's one of our next things we're going to be setting up, so we can make sure to do that on a regular schedule, which of course Garrett's in charge of. And so that's all we had, and thank you everybody for listening, and hopefully you learned something out of this, and have a great day. And so this is our apartment. Actually, it's not apartment numbers. Or again, so you're in screen. Just for fun. And, I almost thought that this might have been, like I said, good over the table.
Yeah.
You can get out the shots. You can relax. Hey, here you go. Each have a fireball shot and I have my Coke.
Yeah.
So that's just the way that I am.